Hello world, it's Birdo Prey 5, Qapla, and welcome to my review of Star Trek Discovery, Season 4, Episode 3, Choose to Live. And if that name sounds familiar, the title, it's because Choose to Live is what Elnor, or whoever his name was on Star Trek Picard, the Romulan boy who was a member of an all-female society of the Qapla, which were Romulan warrior nuns who fought with swords even when the rest of the galaxy had progressed to phasers and disruptors. Anyway, the Qapla, the most deadly assassins in the galaxy, or were the Ferris Rangers the most deadly assassins? Anyway, one of the most deadly assassins in the galaxy would say, choose to live, because they practiced absolute candor, which was very special for Romulans, whose whole society was about lying. The entire Romulan society was about lying and misdirection, to the point every Romulan house had a fake front door, because the real door is obviously the back of the house, because that's just the way Romulans are bred, apparently. And that's not supposed to be racist. That's supposed to be cultural? I don't know. Anyway, the Qapla are the exact opposite of Romulans, even though they are Romulans, can only be Romulans except when they're not, when they're Mikey Spock, whatever, Michael Burnham's mother. She can be a Romulan warrior nun, even though she's human. And Elnor can be a Romulan warrior nun, even though he's a boy. Although he can never quite be, but he is. For all practical purposes, he is Qapla, whatever that means. Anyway, so the warrior nuns are back again in this episode. And I thought we were going to get a continuation of the last episode where they were, hunting down this anomaly that all they could figure out was an anomaly. At the end of last week's episode, Tilly tells us they got tons and tons and tons of data. All of it useless, because none of it can tell them anything they need to know about where it's going or how it's getting there. Now, how does this 5 light-year across anomaly fly through space at, warp speeds? Because apparently it would have to, because if it was traveling at sublight, then guess what? No system more than a year away from Quajon has to worry about anything for a fucking year, because speed in space is slow and distances are vast. So this fucking anomaly, if it's moving at slower than light speeds, which it should be, right? Which it should be, doesn't really bother any other system for hundreds and hundreds of fucking years. And even then, it'd be 1 or 2 systems, perhaps, that would be at risk. In the 1 in a cajillion chance, the system, this anomaly took off in the direct direction of one of these other systems. But, because it's Star Trek, speed means nothing. So this 5 light-year across anomaly, my God, 5 light years across, bigger than V'ger. Certainly in the director's cut, I think they cut V'ger down to 3 light years, because 300 light years was just Looney Tunes big, or something, or AU. I don't even know. I think it's bigger than V'ger ever was. Yeah, if it's 5 light year and V'ger was 90 AU, then this is, because an AU is the distance between the Earth and the sun, which is 8 minutes by light. So yeah, if it is 5 light years, Jesus fucking Christ. This would be bigger than the sun to the Oort cloud, and beyond and beyond and beyond. I mean, not even close. Not even close. So forget it. It is fucking huge, and it is traveling through space, apparently even faster than the Nexus, which itself should never have been traveling at the speed it was traveling. But whatever. We give a pass to the Nexus, so we will give a pass to this fucking anomaly that we don't know anything of. Now, should we give a pass that they spent days or hours collecting data that they said is useful, but then immediately also said is completely useless? Because if you can't predict where it's going, what the hell was the point of collecting all the data? And if you could tell where it was going, which they did at the beginning of the episode, they knew where it was going. How did you lose that information over the course of an episode by collecting data? Last episode, we're to believe they lost information. They knew more about the anomaly at the beginning of the episode than at the end of the episode. So I predicted, thought naively that we would continue on this path. No, the anomaly kind of takes a backseat in today's episode. And you know what? At first, I was like, holy shit, did we just get a good opening to a Star Trek Discovery episode? Because I'm going to be honest, this episode starts out with a pretty cool looking brand new Federation ship, not the Discovery. I don't know what the hell the name of the ship is. The Credence? Let's see. It's beautiful. You'll see it. I'll edit it in. USS Credence. They've got dilithium shipment ready. So this planet is thankful for this dilithium. And the commander, the first officer, he's happy that they can deliver dilithium to this planet. And he lowers the shields for transfer, lock on the coordinates, and there's a security breach. And the Qapla beam in and start attacking everybody. But hey, this commander, I can smell the testosterone. There's actual fighting going on. Okay, they killed one guy, but a second guy, he's like, they need to take my dilithium. You're like, no, you wait your turn. He's like, she says, it's not possible. He says, it's not going to happen. And so he looks for a phaser. She takes her sword, knocks him unconscious, knocks him down, begs him to live. Please, my friend, live. Listen, you're on Star Trek Discovery. It doesn't matter that you're black. You're still a man. You're going to die. And sure enough, he does. She's sorry. She apologizes. But he dies. And we get a news update that though this is the 4th dilithium theft, this is the first time they actually killed a Starfleet officer. And we got Admiral Vance from Vance Refrigeration. We got the president. We got the president of Navarre, a.k.a. Vulcan. And we got Michael Burnham, Space Jesus. Everybody's at the table. But they've got to bring somebody else in. Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? No, it's not Saru. I'd give you that. But they need the Qapla to join them. So it's Michael Burnham's mother, of course. Because why not bring in her mother? Of all the people who are Qapla, actual Vulcan or Romulan, they bring in Michael Burnham's mother. Oh, by the way, Navarre decides that they're more than allies now. They're ready to join the Federation. So the Federation president is like yapping up everything because she's going to be the one who brings Vulcan back into the Federation. And I know you say, no, it's no Navarre. Fuck you. Okay, I'm telling you that Federation president is herself calling it Vulcan. Even she doesn't believe in this Navarre bullshit. She goes to bed at night being, this is going to be my legacy. I'm going to be the Federation president who brought Vulcan back into the Federation. And you know what? Good for her if she does. Because I'm sure everybody still calls it Vulcan under their breath. Like Navarre, Vulcan, air. Anyway, here's the thing. I thought we had a good episode. I watched this episode and I was like, listen, there's some terrible stuff. There's some terrible writing because it is Star Trek Discovery. But at the end of the episode, I was like, it started pretty solid. I was like, maybe it only falls to a 3 or a 4, which isn't bad for this season. But I watched it again and again. And then there was something at the beginning of this episode, that it's actually, like I said, it's a beautiful ship. The first scene was solid. There's fighting. And of course, the guy who dies, and you think, oh, he's fighting. He's actually acting like a man, like a heterosexual man might act. Oh, they actually come in at the end and they say, oh, he's actually gay, which is fine. I don't care. He can be gay. Because I tell you, Stamets, he's the next best character on here, and he's the one they're coming for next. Because I tell you, gay guys, you're still men, and you're the problem. You're almost as big a problem as straight guys. You're next on the list. But, yeah. So they do tell us that the guy who got killed at the beginning, turns out he was gay. He has a partner who had a couple of kids. So Michael Burnham is pissed that, his family isn't getting justice because, spoiler alert, they hand over the person killing, who was Qapla, over to the Qapla to stand trial amongst themselves. Javini is her name. Javini. On the plus side, we have Javini actually looking like a TNG Romulan. Javini's got some depth to her face, to her forehead. That's not bad. But I'm like, so I keep playing over this opening scene, and I realize the entire episode is predicated on the fact that Javini had to kill this Federation officer to steal this dilithium. Without that happening, none of the rest of the story makes any sense. Without this happening, there's no reason for Discovery to be involved, Michael Burnham to be involved. We won't get such greats as Tactical Officer Tilly. Tactical Officer Tilly. Tactical Officer Tilly. That's coming. That's coming in this episode. But when I rewatched it for, I don't know, the 4th or 5th time, they beamed the dilithium out. They had the coordinates to beam in next to the dilithium, beat up the guys that were there, and then beam out with the dilithium. You know what you could have done? You could have skipped the part of beaming in and beating the guys up. You could have just beamed the dilithium out. You knew the fucking coordinate. You beamed in next to the dilithium, threw a few punches, stabbed a couple of guys, and then beamed out with the dilithium. Next time, when he shuts the shields down, just beam the fucking dilithium away, and you don't have to kill anybody. You don't have to hurt anybody. There's no reason anybody had to die. In fact, there's no reason anybody had to beam in to begin with. They knew everything that was going on. Why? Why would they do this? So every fucking thing on this episode is really for nothing. That angered me. Tilly has gone to therapy. Dr. Colbert is her therapist now. Tilly is talking with Saru, saying what she's kind of nuts, and Saru. Oh, this is what Tilly's big thing is. She's trying food she never liked before to see. So she's trying food. Why? Why would they? And what food? What food do they have Tilly try? Would they have her try, I don't know, vegetables? Fish? No. Guess what Tilly doesn't like? Macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese. Fuck you! Okay? There is no way in hell you're going to tell me that bitch doesn't like macaroni and cheese. She loves it. I love it. Everybody loves macaroni and fucking cheese. Don't tell me she is fucking got what is that? Lactose intolerant? No, fuck you. Nobody's lactose intolerant in the year 3200. It doesn't fucking exist. There's no way Tilly doesn't like cheese. They're retconning Tilly to not like cheese. No. That body is 30% cheese. Mine is 40. I'm not going to pretend I don't like cheese. I love cheese. I put cheese on cheese. I put cheese on cheese. And so is she. Don't give me bullshit that she doesn't like macaroni and cheese. I can't take that. I can take a lot. But you can't tell me there is no cheese in Commander Tilly. Or whatever the fuck she is, Lieutenant. You know what? Saru is playing 4D chess. Saru took over first officer from Tilly. So Saru used to be captain of Discovery. So I think Saru is the smartest character on the show. He's playing 4D chess. He's trying to kill off the competition. And you're like, no, Saru wouldn't do that. No, Saru would. Remember, his species becomes a predator. He's now a predator. He's not the prey he was at the beginning of the series. So Saru is thinking 4D ahead. And so he says to Michael Burnham, who needs a tactical officer for her away mission with her mom to go capture this Romulan Qapla murderer, Saru suggests Tilly. Saru suggests Tilly go as their tactical officer. And Michael Burnham's like, tactical? Oh, Tilly has a long list of skills. But tactical, that's kind of at the bottom. Yeah, even Michael Burnham, Tilly's best friend, doesn't stand up for Tilly's tactical abilities. But Saru says, no, it'll be good. Listen, you're going to be trained. Your mother's trained. The other, Qapla, they're all really trained. You don't need any more trained assassins on this. You should bring Tilly for her, peacemaking skills or whatever. Innate peacemaking skills. And Saru's trying to get killed. Also, Michael. Saru clearly trying to get them both killed. And you know what? I think that's enough to move Saru to favorite character for this season. Stamets, you're taking a step back. Saru actively trying to get Michael Burnham and Killy killed. I love it. Love it. Good job. Too bad it didn't work out for you. But you're always thinking. Okay, what else we got? Oh, this is the episode where Gray gets their body back. And I was thinking about Gray, the world's worst Trill. Why does Gray get their body back? Why would they create a synthetic body for Gray? Gray is dead. It would be like creating a body for Curzon. Oh, wait, we did this in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Curzon and Odo tried to form a joined pair, and they both preferred being Curzon the shapeshifter instead of Odo the shapeshifter and Curzon Dax. But Curzon owed it to the Dax symbiont to return to the Dax symbiont so that Dax could draw on Curzon's past lives and past whatevers. But Curzon was dead. Gray is dead. Gray got to live. Unfortunately, it was a short life, but they lived through the symbiont. They should not be leaving the symbiont. They bring a guardian, a Trill guardian, to the Discovery, but they bring this guardian as a hologram. So this Trill guardian is on Trill. He comes to the Discovery as a hologram to watch over the risk of transferring Gray from nothingness into this new body. Then this hologram at the end says he can't sense Gray's consciousness. You're a fucking hologram. You're not going to sense his consciousness. If you were going to try to sense his thing, you could have had him show up. And not to be shit. Why not? Why did he have to come as a hologram? There's plenty of dilithium now. His ship could have just docked with Discovery and he could have walked on. Or he could have just beamed in. There was no reason he has to come as a hologram. And as a hologram, I wouldn't expect him to sense anything. They don't understand how their own fucking universe works. And even more upsetting with the Gray matter. And by the end of the episode, so they all episode, we don't know if Gray's going to make it. Of course, we know Gray's going to make it because God forbid they kill off one of the LGBTQT plus A cosine sign people, whatever. God forbid one of them die. It's not happening. So we know Gray makes it, but they leave it to the very end whether Gray makes it. And then once Gray wakes up at the end and Adira is there and they're reuniting and it is pathetic. It is pathetic because remember, Adira is 16 years old. Gray is 16, maybe 17 years old. And they are literally saying to Gray is telling Adira they are always going to be linked forever. And like honestly, What's their quarters situation going to be? Are you going to give quarters, the same quarters, to a 16 and 17-year-old? Are they going to share quarters? Are they going to have separate quarters? Did anybody wonder this? Is it appropriate for a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old to share quarters? They think they're going to be together forever. You work in fucking space. You go from planet to planet, system to system. You will meet more people than a 16 or 17-year-old in 2021 could ever imagine. And you think you're going to be with the person you're in love with when you're 16 fucking years old? Holy fuck. Where do these, who is even writing this shit? Who thinks they're going to be in love with their 16-year-old crush in 30 years? In 5. She won't even fucking remember his name. You be that guy that used to be part of the worm that's me now. If she's lucky. It makes no fucking sense. It's disturbing. So, Michael Burnham, her mom, random Qapla that you know is going to die because one has to, and Tilly go on an away mission in Book's ship. Because Book's ship is just there for Michael to borrow, because every mission needs a non-Federation ship. Because, you don't want this to look like a Federation mission to the bad Qapla. Well, guess what Booker's ship has? Booker's ship can declare an intruder alert before the intruder beams on board. Yet nothing happens. The ship yells intruder alert, and then the Qapla beam on board and start attacking everybody. Oh, by the way, guess what? Tilly is going to fight. Tilly is going to fight because 2 minutes before this fight starts off, they hand Tilly a weapon. Now, is it a phaser? No, because a phaser is not the Qapla way. She's going to get a fucking sword. Tilly, who has 0 combat training, let alone with a sword, is given a sword. Even Tilly laughs her ass off at being given a sword. And Tilly tries to swing the sword, drops it, and apologizes because she moisturized her hands that morning. But she'll be good now. And immediately, then the intruder alert goes off, and Tilly all of a sudden has sword combat training. The next 2 minutes are the most bug-ass, weird-ass combat scene I've ever seen on Star Trek. I've watched this scene 10, 12 times, trying to figure out the dynamics of how Tilly survives in a fight against 2 Qapla assassins. Tilly actually uses her body weight to knock over one of the Qapla. Then Tilly falls on the floor. And then I'm guessing the transporter must be involved because Tilly all of a sudden changes her location 3 times in this fight, all the time being on the floor. And then at the end, Tilly throws her sword to Michael's mother, who catches the sword and, ends the standoff. And Javini shows up. And of course, Javini, we find out, was the Qapla who had initially taken Michael's mother in and made her the woman she is today. So that's why Michael's mom is there, because she owes everything to Javini, and she knows Javini must have a good reason for doing what she's doing. It turns out that Javini had intercepted a telepathic. Oh my God, I feel stupider for saying this out loud. A telepathic distress call. Anyway, it turns out they landed on a moon, and guess what? That's no moon. It's a ship. Yep, that's exactly what it said. That's no moon. It's a ship. Yeah, it turns out, where could they get this? Where could they have gotten this big moon that turned out to be, in fact, a big ship? Small moon turned out to be a big ship. I don't know. Clearly, never happened in all of science fiction. It turns out that this is actually a ship from an alien species that surprisingly looked a lot like the salamanders from Voyager. Maybe if the salamanders from Voyager were allowed to keep evolving. If the salamanders were allowed to keep evolving, we would probably come up with what we have here. And, yeah. So, it turns out that they're actually in a ship, and at first we thought their graves were being robbed, and their graves were being robbed because inexplicably they have latinum in their bodies. So even 1,000 years later, platinum is still apparently the most important thing in the galaxy. No one has found any way to replicate latinum. So latinum is so important that people will rob graves of the not quite so dead. As it turns out, they're not graves. They're in cryostasis. Anyway, so the Qapla woman, Javini, took it her mission to save the species from extinction. And the reason she was stealing the dilithium was the noble goal of allowing this ship to move again. God forbid the anomaly change direction and come after them. So for the 1 in 500 gazillion chance that this random anomaly would attack this random moon that turned out to be a spaceship, she thought it was okay to not only steal dilithium from the Federation, but to kill people while stealing the Federation's dilithium, because the needs of the many, I suppose, outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. But do they? I mean, if it's a 1 in a gazillion chance that this anomaly will actually hit this ship, do the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? Because I'm not so sure it works like that. Also, in this episode, Stamets has to go to Vulcan, Navarre, to try to figure out what's the anomaly is. Stamets has a new idea that the anomaly is actually, God help me, a proto-wormhole. And just the sound of saying wormhole scares me, because they don't know what it means. I fear they're afraid that they know just enough that they can say wormhole, and they think they can bring in Deep Space Nine. I think this might turn out to be the Bajoran wormhole. We are seeing the birth of the Bajoran wormhole. Why have we? Well, they haven't brought in. They literally say the only thing that's missing are the tachyons. There's 5 things for all wormholes, and the only part that's missing is the tachyons. And we know tachyons go backwards in time. And we know the Bajoran wormhole is also the home of the prophets, who are nonlinear time beings. So, it is perfectly reasonable to me that the Star Trek Discovery writers can create the wormhole in the future and send it to the past. And then they can get their hands on another franchise. The most bestest Star Trek franchise of all time, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, could fall to Star Trek Discovery. Michael Burnham might get her dirty, grubby hands on Deep Space Nine. My fucking God. If that happens, I don't know what I'll do. It will not be good. No, the best part was realizing nobody had to die and this episode never had to exist. Because transporters are a thing. And apparently the only reason people transported into the dilithium was to kill a couple of people and then beam out. It is a fucking disgrace. The more and the harder you think about it, the worse this show gets. I thought we were going to come away with a 3 or 4 pointer today. I really did. It started good. It started good until I realized that it was terrible. Anyway, this is a shit show. And I think some people are going to be like, this might be the best episode of the season. And it might be. But it's still garbage. And if you realize just how much garbage it is, you get even more angry. Last week, I gave it 1 out of 10. And this week, I have to also give it 1 out of 10. It cannot, there is no way to improve it. And book goes to Vulcan. For some reason, Book is having his issues. Book never got to tell his nephew that he loves him or something. Anyway, Book decides that he's got to stay busy by trying to figure out what happened to Qui-Gon. And for at the beginning, that was helping Stamets. Now Stamets is going to the Navarre Science Council so they can help him figure out what's going on with this wormhole. Anyway, Stamets didn't want to take Book with him because he's like, the only way I can bring these scientists up to date is by doing this in-depth, reenactment of what happened to your planet. So Stamets can't tell scientists what happened to Qui-Gon without telling them that Qui-Gon was destroyed. And he feels that by making Book listen to the fact that this Qui-Gon was destroyed is only going to make Book go crazy quicker or worse. And Stamets doesn't want to do that. Well, as it turns out, first the Vulcans, aka Navarrians, they don't even give a shit what Stamets has to say. They already know what he has to say because he already sent his notes over. They don't listen to Stamets at all. They do all their thinking on their own. The only person who wants to talk to anybody is the Vulcan president, the woman. She offers him some type of fiery spice drink. And he's like, oh, no, thank you. He's like, oh, you Vulcans, you're more in tune with logic, not with the emotions than I would have thought. She's like, yeah, it's a common misconception. Vulcans understand emotion. We just choose to be logical. And, okay. And she offers to do a mind meld. Because a mind meld might help find out if there were any tachyons present on Qui-Gon before it got destroyed. Because if there were tachyons, everything would have got a blue tint or something. I don't know. That made zero sense. But she does the mind meld, and there was no tint But Book does get a chance to tell his nephew he loved him in the mind meld. And so Book is finally back to being good old Book again. So at the end of the episode, Book is back to sleeping in his ship inside the with the hologram of the forest of Quajon running. So when Michael Burnham comes to lay down with him, she can say, "Oh, you this was too painful to run a week ago." And we can see Book has healed himself now, basically, thanks to the Vulcans. Thanks to the Vulcan mind melt. So Book is feeling better. Stamets still doesn't have any answers as to why there was no tachyons. We're left in the same spot with the anomaly, that it's en route somewhere, but could change at any second. For right now, it's not an immediate threat to anybody. So I'm sure by end or middle of the season, it will become a threat. My guess is to Earth, because of course it will be a threat to Earth, because what else are you going to do? What else will you do? Okay, so for the Qapla, I told you it turned out that was to save a species. So once the species is saved, which, by the way, it takes Michael Burnham to fix their computer system, because they were all supposed to be taken out of cryostasis centuries ago. So Michael Burnham, tech guru, fixes their computer system, and her doing that then frees Javini. Javini? I'm confusing Vagini, the Futurama satellite, with Javini, the Qapla person from Star Trek Discovery. So Javini. Turns out her oath is lifted once Michael brings them all out of stasis. So she can then let go of her oath. Once she lets go of her oath, she is now allowed to answer for her previous crimes. So she is taken into custody. Michael Burnham thinks she's going to be taken into Federation custody, but as it turns out, the Federation president, wanting to play politics, turns her over to the Vulcans. And that pisses Michael Burnham off. She's not happy. She thought, no, this bitch killed a Federation officer. She's going to answer to us. But no, she's pissed. She's not even happy, really. It was her mom also was part of this. But, yeah. So that's where we end the episode. Michael and Book, all good, all reset for another week. Stamets still doesn't have his answers. Adira has her boy toy back, Gray in a brand new body. They haven't even been out of, and this all happened in a day. This all happens in a single day. Because at the end of this episode, Tilly comes by and says, "Did you tell Michael to take me on today's mission?" So this whole mission and this whole thing, which feels like it probably took weeks, it all happened in a day. Because Tilly talked to Saru. And then Tilly gets to water Saru's plants at the end of the episode, which is all Tilly wanted to do to begin with, was water Saru's plants. And we have another day in Star Trek Discovery Land behind us. 1 out of 10. May God have mercy on my soul.